Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another webinar series, A Day in the Life. Today, we are very excited to have an entrepreneur with us. Mhlengi, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to talk to us today. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, now I can hear you. I was just saying thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening to talk to us today. Okay, well, let's get started. Mhlengi, we seem to have a little bit of a connection situation, but that's not a problem. We can still continue our conversation. Let's start at the beginning. What did you study?
Okay. So, Priya, sorry. So the line is just breaking a little bit. I don't know if it's just my side.
Yeah, I think it might be your side. Hey, let me see if I switch off my camera, if it's a little bit better. Do you find the connections a little bit better now? You hear me?
Okay. Okay. So let me just move to another. Yeah, I can hear you, but then there's a lag. So
I
I
see.
just wanna move to like a different Wi-Fi,
Okay.
and then I move to my personal Wi-Fi because I'm using the office one, but
Having some trouble.
it might be breaking a little bit.
Okay, no
But
worries. We'll
somehow I
wait
don't
for
know
you.
why. Like I can't do a video.
Ah, it's all right. Don't worry. Once you move on to your Wi-Fi, perhaps it fixes itself. So for
Yeah.
our audience,
Okay.
if you have any questions that you have for Mhlengi, please feel free to use our Q&A session on the platform. I will share the questions with him, and then we can pick his brain, so to speak.
Okay.
How's it going?
Okay. Let me just try this.
Okay. Okay, well, Mhlengi is sorting out all of his connection issues. We all know how that feels. We've all been in that situation. I am going to briefly talk to you about this virtual job shadowing series that we are running. So we started this at the beginning of the year, and it's basically an opportunity for students and graduates to get an idea of what it is to work in the different careers and professions. So we encourage our students to sign on to the platform, ask questions to the individuals who we invite as guest speakers about what it's really like working in the specific industry, because you have an idea before you start studying, and then you have another idea when you start studying. And then as you are coming to the end of your degree, you start sort of realizing that it might not be what you think it might be, or it will be exactly as you would hope that it would be. And this is why we do the Day in the Life series. So if you have any ideas for other professions that you would like to have showcased on this platform, please do feel free to reach out to the team at Gradlinc. We're all over the internet on social media and LinkedIn. So all of our contact details are very easily available. We think this is really important because students and graduates need an opportunity to go through a job shadowing experience. So yeah, and also if you have any other ideas of stuff that you would like to see on the platform as our audience, the students and graduates, this is a perfect opportunity for you to let us know what else would you like to see. This is one of the tools that we have, the virtual job shadowing experience, but there's quite a bit on the platform already. So stuff like there's a free tool for you to practice your interview skills. We've recently launched our employability, which is quite our employability award, which is quite exciting. For anyone who's already on the platform, you can go check it out. It's under your profile on your main page. We've had a few students who have been interested in that. And what's nice is it sort of distinguishes you from the other students. So if you end up in a situation where an employer is sort of shortlisting between yourself and, let's say, 15 of your colleagues or your classmates, and you would stand out because you would show that you're a more all-rounded student compared to everybody else. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the Gradlinc platform, and like I said, it's really easy to reach out to us. You can even DM us on Instagram. So we really do look forward to hearing from our audience members. I do apologize for this. We are having a little bit of technical issues, but I promise that this is going to be completely worth it when Mhlengi comes on board. He is a very, very cool guy. He was voted, there was a whole article about him in Forbes Africa, where he was voted someone to watch, 30 under 30. So 30 individuals to watch under the age of 30. He also received the award for Outstanding Marty's Alumni in 2022. He's featured in Mail and Guardian. He is also featured in Africa's Top 1,000 Entrepreneurs. He's a property investor. He's your age, guys, which is very exciting. So you definitely want to listen to what he has to say. We do apologize for this, but these things do happen. I think what I am going to do is just pause the session until he comes back. So please bear with us. Okay, everyone, Mhlengi's back. This is wonderful news. Thank you once again. We really do appreciate the fact to us today. Mhlengi, in your absence, I did a little introduction. You have some fantastic accolades behind your name. Forbes Africa, 30 under 30, Outstanding Marty's Alumni 2022, Mail and Guardian Top 200 South African. So where did it all start? What did you study?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me, Priya. So I actually studied civil engineering. I started my first year in 2013, and then I studied until the end of 2019, basically. I was doing civil engineering here in Stellenbosch. And then, but in 2020, I actually went and studied at business school, doing like a short course, like a year course, business administration course. So I did that in 2020, and then I finished that particular course. So I studied that basically.
Okay, that's very exciting. So tell us, Mhlengi, a little bit about your journey from when you studied to where you are today.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so I had said before, so I did my first year in 2013, and then I was doing civil engineering that time, and then I think in 2016, I was excluded actually. Actually, I dropped out in 2016 because I was struggling academically, so I couldn't meet my Hermes. So I was like, okay, let me just drop out so that I can actually reapply the following year. So in 2016, I dropped out, and then I took a transfer for 2017 to continue my degree, civil engineering degree at UJ, which I studied in 2017. But then after 2 months, I actually dropped out again at UJ. So and then I started my business in the very same year of 2017. While I had dropped out, then the whole year I was after dropping out, I was just trying to pursue my business. But then things didn't work out the way I thought they would, because I thought, okay, I'm going to a coffee business and everyone drinks coffee, so I'm gonna make a lot of money. It's gonna succeed. Obviously, I was very wrong about that. And I learned that very quickly, that like business is, you don't make assumptions in business. So then the whole year of 2017, I actually sold one bag of coffee, which is quite strange. So it's like my turnover was like 220 rands.
Sure.
But then I used that to basically try and develop my business skills. The things that I didn't know, because I had never run a business before. I basically didn't know anything about business. So I had to teach myself a lot of things: how to design a website, how does marketing work in business, how does branding work in business, and what have you. Then in 2018, I reapplied back to Stellenbosch, and I was readmitted back for 2018 academic year.
Yeah.
Then I studied the whole of 2018, the same degree, civil engineering. And then at the end of the year, I was excluded. Academic
Okay.
exclusion again because I couldn't meet the Hermes points. Then I reapplied in 2018 for 2019 academic year, and then I was admitted, you know. So I studied for 2019. At the end of 2019, guess what? Exclusion again. And then I reapplied, then I was rejected at that time. So it's just like, okay, my engineering degree, that's it, it's over. It's done and
Yeah.
buried. But then throughout the whole time while I was studying at university, I was also pursuing my business. I was running my business and studying civil engineering at the same time, which you can imagine the difficulty of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to do it because one of the main reasons why I was in business was so that I could be able to pay for my studies and basically cover my basic needs. So I couldn't choose between the two. I couldn't leave business and pursue academics.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then in 2019 it was basically the end with that degree of civil engineering. Then I got an opportunity at SPA for 2020, where then I studied for that year, and then I finished at the end of 2020. So just a 1 year course at
Yeah.
USP.
Yeah.
So that's basically my journey with regards to studies and the start of the business. Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely want to get into where you are today, but I have to ask you. What I can definitely say is that you've been very persistent, Mhlengi, in ensuring that you succeed in your life, even though there's been like sort of challenges along the way. Where did you get that drive to continue, even when things weren't going well?
Yes. So there's a saying that says change happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of making a change. So
Yeah.
I think we all get to a point in life where being anywhere else is better than where you are. And I think for me, facing hardship, basically the idea of not lacking, basically the idea of lacking, not having enough, whether especially with like finances. For me,
Yeah.
I went into business to try and solve my financial problems, to not struggle. But then I think the idea of the tenacity to just keep on going is actually attributed to a lot of things. I think just my very nature. I'm not someone that would just give up. I think that
Yeah.
like if I find a worthy cause, and then I put all my effort into it, and
Yeah.
and then what I've also seen that has really been helpful is finding something that has a meaning, something that gives you meaning, something that like you feel like it's your destiny, is what you are brought here for. And I think that like the difference between when I was studying my degree and venturing into business was that like a degree I felt like I was doing is for me, like
Yeah.
to have to be an engineer. But then when I started the business, like creating a business is like raising a child. You become one with the business. And
Yeah.
when I started, the value that I could create by being in a business space, I knew that okay, this is gonna offer me an opportunity to create massive value that I would not be able to offer if I go through just a traditional career path of like maybe tertiary and then mainstream.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, but like for me, I think it finding something that is bigger than me, finding something that I'm not just doing for me, I'm
Yeah.
I'm doing to really make the world better. And I think what I've been fortunate to do, especially in a business space, is that like to create opportunities for other people that I would have liked to have when I was where they are. And I think that's
Yeah.
what gives the meaning to what we do, that we might not be the biggest business, but if we can impact someone's life today, so that like after interacting with one of my businesses, their life can be better, we would have
Yeah.
made a difference. And for
Yeah.
me, this is the real, authentic, intrinsic value that has actually given me the reason to keep going.
Yeah. So let's talk about where you are now. You're an entrepreneur. You've got your thumb in a few pies. Let's talk about that. You talk. I know you're a property investor. You talk about the coffee house that you had. What are you doing with yourself at this moment?
Sure. So at the moment, I'm actually doing a lot of things. I'm what is called a serial entrepreneur, and
Ah,
so yeah. So actually I've got different businesses in different industries.
okay.
But yeah, like I'm in real estate, I'm in tech, I do software in hardware development. I have a branding and signage business. I've got a business that does renovations. I've got a coffee business. So, I'm basically, I've got businesses in like all these industries. But
Yeah.
it's quite strange because like how I got into, for example, real estate. When I was a student, I didn't have accommodation. I struggled to get accommodation because I didn't have enough rice points. I think they're called like camel points. So I couldn't get like room point at rest. I couldn't get
Yeah.
a single room. So then I
Oh,
was like, okay, no, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like me that needs accommodation. So what I did was I went to the people's houses in Addis Venue. Then I'd
yeah.
knock in people's doors and ask them, do you have a room that I can rent out for a friend of mine that needs a room?
Yeah.
And then a person would say, yeah, maybe I do have a room, but then I don't want students here because they're just the headache of maintaining tenants and students. For me, I don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a business opportunity. So I was like, okay, how about if I create a business and then I charge people it's just a small fee as a maintenance fee, basically,
Yeah.
to maintain the room where a student stays. So
Yeah.
instead of like managing the whole property, you just manage your room where students going to be allocated. So I
Okay.
created a WhatsApp group. I went to admin. I said, okay, can I please have a database of like a list of students that need accommodation? They gave me a list and to SRC also. And then I created a WhatsApp group. Then on the same WhatsApp group, I'll tell people, okay, I've got a room in this particular place. And then I'll charge, if for example, that particular room is like 4,000 rent, I'll say, okay, the rent is going to be 4,500. Then I'll charge you
Okay.
500 rent, and that's how I got into real estate. And now, over the years, I'm going back to the very same houses that I used to have a student stay in, and I'm making offers and I'm buying some of those properties. So that
Wow.
it's creating an opportunity, seeing an opportunity from adversity, and then creating a business from that. And that
Yeah.
basically goes across the board in all my businesses. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity, a need that I had, and then translating that into business.
Yeah. So you've spoken about looking for an opportunity, seeing how you can sort of use it in a manner that suits you, and not following a traditional career path. So obviously, anyone who's interested in pursuing an entrepreneurial sort of career path would be curious to know. Why do you think, Mhlengi, that entrepreneurship is an important driver in a South African sort of perspective and an economic state?
Yes. So like one of the biggest problems in South Africa, as we all know, is youth unemployment. Basically, unemployment, whether youth or not youth. And it means that like there is enough. We've got people that could work, like motivated workers, people that can work, but then there is not enough capacity to actually absorb those particular people. So
Yeah.
so so it means like instead of focusing on having more graduates, we could be focusing on like how do we equip people to actually start businesses so that they could absorb the workforce that has been created, which don't have opportunities. So it's like we do not lack people that have got like the academic that are graduates, or maybe people that want to work. We don't like people that want to work, but what we rather need is spaces where they could work. That's number one. But number two is also is the best way. If you look at like the Chinese economy, the backbone of the Chinese economy is manufacturing. So we are one of those countries where there's a huge potential in the manufacturing space, and then there's also a huge need for artisans, people that can actually create something from the ground.
Yeah.
And I think that like but then you find that a lot of people in South Africa, they are not equipped for that. A lot of people think about just going the like the traditional route. So what then we have to do actually is that like we have to equip people to think like entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
because a lot of people deal with problems. The way an entrepreneur thinks, they don't just see problems and then just say, okay, this is my problem. They think about a solution. How do I create a solution for the problem that I have? And then how do I replicate the solution so that it can actually um, solve the same problem for 10 people around me or 100 people around me? And if you can create a company and employ one person, that particular person could have four dependents. So it's like you are not just impacting one person, you are impacting about five people. You're actually impacting a family by that one opportunity. So it's more than just one on one. So
Yes.
it's like if we can think like entrepreneurs, and then we can be able to solve our own problems, the way we think about ourselves is gonna change, because you're not gonna see yourself as part of a problem, but you're gonna see yourself as someone coming up with solutions for your own problems.
Yeah. No, that is so that is so true. You know, the impact of a singular sort of action influencing a whole array of people. There is. How do you feel about entrepreneurship in university? I know of quite a few programs. Some of them are offered at a postgraduate level, but it seems that some of the undergrad qualifications are also offering entrepreneurship.
So like I think what I've seen with like the approach of university, especially with regards to entrepreneurship, it's a bit like removed from the reality of what entrepreneurship is all about, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
You see you get people with like MBAs and what have you, but then when you talk about like real entrepreneurship, what is an entrepreneur? What does it take to actually start a business from the ground? And it's like and there's like almost like a gap between what university teaches in terms of entrepreneurship and what we need, especially in a South African context. What we need in a South African context, it's not the same approach that Western would use. For
Yeah.
example, it's not the
Yeah.
same as like creating a startup, a unicorn in Silicon Valley, where you can raise $2 million with like a VCs and what have you. We need to think about like how do we create businesses in the African context with the problems that we have, with the resources that we have.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, the approach of the universities, especially, does not reflect the realities of the challenges that a person who didn't have an opportunity to go to university, it doesn't equip them with the right skills or the right mindset to think about creating a business.
Yeah.
It rather gives an opportunity to someone that already has maybe plan A. Let's just say maybe you studied accounting. Now you do entrepreneurship as a course, as an add-on to what you're already doing. But then I think that like it should not be a university thingy. It needs to be a mindset thingy that is filtered down to the society in terms of like how do we think about our problems? How do we relate to our everyday problems? And I think
Yeah.
like if we can be able to actually do that, and then like we can be able to solve these particular, we stand a better chance of creating real entrepreneurs that and the concept that would work and the blueprint that would work in the African context.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's a known fact that Africa is the continent to be looking at from a startup perspective and innovation perspective. Klengi, I would love your advice for our audience, which mostly consists of students and graduates. if their passion and their drive and their tenacity essentially is to go into the entrepreneurial space, what advice would you give them in terms of a few things like soft skills and courses perhaps that they should pursue in order to be more successful as an entrepreneur?
Okay. So in terms of courses, the most important skill that you need to have as an entrepreneur, or one of the most, is sales. It's
Yes.
like it doesn't matter how good you are with a product. You can be the best, whatever. But if you don't know how to sell the solution that you are bringing into a marketplace, you are not going to succeed. Because like the responsibility of selling a product, you are the one that understands your solution better than anyone else, especially when you are creating a startup. You are usually people start a business because they can relate to the problem and they understand the problem deeply. So then you need to then understand how do I sell the solution to people. And then another soft skill that you need to have now in terms of like soft skills is grit. Starting a business, you're gonna fail. It's almost impossible. Creating a business is almost impossible. Running a business is almost impossible. So you need to understand that like chances are you're not gonna succeed right away. It's a long term thing. So like you should not go into business with the mindset of, you know what, I wanna be my own boss. I want to have, I wanna have flexible time. The
Yeah.
advantage of being an entrepreneur is that like you've got flexible time. The advantage is that you never have that time, you know. So it's like you could choose to not do anything, but then you never have a luxury of not doing anything. You are constantly working, and the business demands of you as a business grows from, let's say, idea stage to a pre-revenue, post-revenue. It requires new skills from you, and it comes with
Yeah.
new challenges. So you need to be learning every single time, and then you are constantly being challenged from all directions. So you have to have grit, and then you need to have the skills of selling your product, and then be authentic also. It's very,
Yeah.
very important that you are authentic in the solutions that you bring into a marketplace. In that way, you will succeed in business.
Yeah. And also, unfortunately, we've come to the end, so I'm going to have to wind up. But I have to add the authenticity also plays into sales, because the more authentic you are with sales, the more likely you are to make sales.
Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true.
Klengi, I'm going to have to say thank you very much. Now we're almost out of time. Again, for doing this with us on a Monday evening after hours, we really do appreciate it. And I have a few comments that I unfortunately couldn't get to with a limited amount of time. So I will be reaching out to you via email with some of the questions from our audience members. But thank you once again for participating in our webinar series. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Priya. It was nice
All
having
right.
you.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, you too. Bye.